Today I have 5 hours of meetings, and we're behind on a project with a deadline coming up in 10 days. Let's see how much work I can get done and how I handle the stress of being behind on a project and balancing out all these meetings during the day. Let's talk about why you need 5 hours of meetings while I take down this breakfast. The real answer is you don't. Most companies now are, and have been for a while, have been using agile. It's like a methodology for how you do your work. So the way it works is you break your work up into what they call sprints. It's like, it can be different cadences, but my company uses 2 weeks. So at the beginning, you'll essentially see what projects you're working on, try and figure out like how much work you want to get done during this sprint. The work's broken up into tickets, which is just like smaller pieces of work. You'll take a look at those tickets, see if everyone agrees with what's on the ticket, and you'll try and estimate how much work this ticket will be. Once you do that, you can kind of figure out how much work you can do in this time frame and then set goals of what you want to accomplish during this. The issue is that agile just brings so many meetings. So like at the start of a sprint, we have a meeting called grooming, which is an hour long, where we'll go through all of our tickets like I mentioned before, and try and estimate how long they'll take and make sure like the description of the ticket's good, stuff like that. So that's an hour. Honestly, I think most of that stuff could be async. Like you don't really need to be in a meeting to do that. Another thing that comes along with agile is sprint planning. You'll take a look at what you're trying to ship soon, or what deadlines are coming, what projects you're working on, and try and set goals and pull in tickets to accomplish those goals. So this is a 30-minute meeting we have. Also, it could probably be asynchronous, but I guess this one's fine to get everyone on the same page of what we're going to be working on. We also have daily stand-ups, which will take 15 to 30 minutes every day. So everyone on the team will discuss what they've been working on, and if anyone has blockers, if they have a blocker, then we'll just discuss that. After every sprint's done, we'll have an hour-long retro meeting. So this is where you look back at the past sprint and discuss like what went well, what could have gone better. And we also have a team meeting today. It's an hour long. Anyone can discuss anything. So that puts us at 3.5 hours. Then I'm actually double booked during one of the hours for a different retro for a project I worked on. A one-on-one meeting with the project lead for the project I'm working on. So yeah, that's how you end up at 5 hours of meetings. Not all these are needed. Obviously hinders how much work you can get done as an engineer. Now let's discuss how a project can fall behind. I feel like the most common is new requirements without changing your deadline. Another is just like when you're scoping out the project initially, you miss something, or you just don't do your due diligence at the beginning and then you end up paying for it at the end. Also, you could have put in the work and things just don't go as planned, or something you didn't see came up. You can't like hash out every detail, but that's why it's a good practice to leave a buffer at the end of your estimate. And obviously the buffer varies depending on how big the project is. So if you have like a month-long project, maybe you leave like a week of buffer, but if it's like a 3-month project, obviously your buffer is going to be a lot bigger, because the amount of stuff that can slip through the cracks is way more on a bigger project than it is on a smaller one. And at the end of the day, at least the stuff I'm working on, most of it's not user-facing because I'm like back-end. So it's just important that you hit the date you set and not try to like cram work. Yeah, I think it's really important to like set a realistic deadline with buffer, because you're essentially graded on how often you hit these deadlines, and no one really knows how long the work's gonna take. So by you giving like a shorter estimate, it only really hurts yourself, because the risk of you not hitting that date is just way higher, and then it just comes off hurting you for like your performance. Obviously don't like sandbag your estimates, but leave enough buffer where if something goes wrong, you definitely have enough time to fix that up. I think the issue with the project I'm helping out with right now is it's an internal deadline. We communicated it to leadership, so people don't really want to change the deadline. And also we had some requirements come in pretty late. I feel like stuff just really hasn't gone as planned for like parallelizing the work. We're supposed to launch in about 10 business days, and we're not yet code complete. And then after that, we need to do a lot of testing. So yeah, we'll see how this turns out. First meeting. I'm just finishing up working on a task for this project. Then I'm gonna write integration tests for the new code paths. Second meeting, on-call handoff. Third meeting, grooming. Fourth meeting, sprint planning. Fifth meeting, retro. Getting some work done while I eat lunch. Meeting 6, team meeting, last one. Finally just finished up the last meeting. I'm gonna work for a little bit and then log off. I wanted to quickly touch on how you handle being behind on a project and the stress that comes with it. I think the first important thing to discuss is how you mitigate being behind on a project. I think by being organized, front-loading your work to try and scope out the unknown unknowns, and just being transparent with your manager where you're at and letting them know if you fall behind. If you have a good manager, they're there to help you, and they can always push for a later deadline if you tell them early enough, or get another engineer on the project. They have multiple ways to help you if you tell them early. Don't try and just make up for all the late work by working, late nights or weekends. Always let them know at the first point there could be risks to not hitting the deadline, and then they can help you out. If you let your manager know you're behind like 1 week before a project's due, there's really not much they can do because it's probably already a committed date, more of a hard deadline, and it'd look bad on them to make the change that late. Also, this is probably more relevant for if you're leading a project. You definitely have more levers to pull. I mean, you can too if you're helping on a project. It just seems like you're overstepping someone's job as the project lead, so try not to do that too much. I will try and call out if it feels like we're behind just to the project lead so they can communicate that, but usually if I'm just helping out, I'll try and crank out as much work as possible. Obviously not overworking, but help out on, PRs wherever possible, or pick up extra tickets just to try and get the project moving along. But there's really not much you can do when you're just helping out with a project like I am right now. Just try and keep your head down and work as much as possible, and be transparent with the lead where you're at, and if you want to tell the manager too, because you don't feel like it's getting portrayed well enough, then I feel like that's definitely an option. Now, those are some ways to prevent tight deadlines or missing deadlines, but what are some ways to reduce stress or handle stress when this happens? Because it's bound to happen at some point. Like, requirements can come in late, just like crazy stuff can happen, so you're gonna have to handle that at some point. I think the first important thing is just you can work extra, but try not to overwork too much, and definitely get rest and find something you enjoy to do. If you don't take those necessary breaks, you'll start writing shit code, and just so many more bugs will pop up and you won't be able to think straight. So for sure, rest and exercise, eat healthy, and if you have time, find 30 minutes, an hour for a hobby you like to do, just so you can kind of wind down for the day, because you're probably gonna be working extra. It's good to get that full recess so you're definitely ready to go next morning. And if you've been transparent through the whole process, telling your manager you might fall behind due to some, risk or some dependency on another team or something like that, then there's really not much more you can do, and you can work as hard as possible, but at the end of the day, you told your manager what was up, so they should have communicated that to stakeholders, and it should be expected at some probability that, you're not going to hit your deadline, so I don't think there's too much to stress about. Like, as long as you're being transparent, I don't think your job's gonna be on the line for your first missed deadline. Now, if you're trying to be a hero and it's some huge project and you're not communicating with transparency, then obviously you're not gonna get fired for the first time, but it's just not a good look to not do that without any communication. Oh, my legs are cooked. Trained for a sprint triathlon. I ripped the entire race yesterday. If anyone knows a lot about road bikes or has any recommendations, let me know down in the comments. I'm looking for one right now on Facebook Marketplace.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Taste test, we got the tilapia. It's actually pretty solid. All right, I'm gonna wrap the video up there. I'm gonna chill in the hot tub and relax for the rest of the night. If you made it this far, appreciate you watching. I know you're wondering if a software engineer can work from a mountain, so check out this video here. Peace.